highway, over gray, chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. No man crossed in the twilight dim. The southern stream had no fear for him. But when he turned to safe on the other side, and built a bridge to stay inside. "Old man," said a fellow peer near, "you're wasting your strength to building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You cross the chasm deep and wide. Why build a bridge at evening tide?" The builder lifted his old gray head. "Good friend, in the past I've come," he said, "there followed after me today a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been taught has been as naught to me, so that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I am building this bridge for him." Good evening, good evening, good evening. To all of you who have gathered here this afternoon, whether virtually or in person, I stand to give you a warm welcome. Welcome to the Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation, who has come to deposit information and resources to anyone who may have an interest in purchasing and or developing or rehabbing property that you own. Anyone who has an interest in becoming a gardener and contributing to the resources in your community. But to all of you who have gathered here to learn more about what these resources are, how to assess these resources, and how to use them correctly to create generational wealth. How to build a bridge for those who are coming behind us. I welcome you to the town of Jonestown and to this summit. Just like that bridge builder, we too will use these available resources that we find here today to build a bridge for those who are coming behind us. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so glad that you are here. Thank you.
All right, it's kind of hard to follow, isn't it? Let's give the mayor a round of applause. Okay. My name is Ashley Crockett. I am a reporter at KARK Channel 4, in addition to Fox 16 in Little Rock. I was going to say Louisiana because that's the foundation, but in Little Rock, Arkansas. But most importantly, I work for a very important organization, and that is the organization bringing you this summit today, the Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. Now, this corporation was a vision of Dr. Floyd Brown. On the campus of an institution developed for young agriculture farmers who were interested in extending that generational wealth the mayor was discussing earlier. So again, his vision is what we still are in alignment with today. Dr. Calvin King has been the CEO of this particular organization since the early 80s. And today we still are bringing the message to the communities of rural areas like you guys reside in. It's very important to, let me just go back and ask a question. For some of you in here that want to absorb the knowledge, how many of you are interested in becoming first-time farmers? Show of hands. How many of you are interested in learning how to develop your own urban communities with production and agriculture and produce? Anybody out here? How many people have had air property issues? How many of you knew that the Department of Agriculture is what is the foundation behind some of these developments you see in the community? Did you know that? So again, these are some things that are very important to our organization. And the message that we're sending out is the education behind what comes with some of the resources that are offered through the USDA. Sometimes we find it very difficult to access those resources. You know, there's not a secret, there's been some cultural diversity and some obstacles, but at the end of the day, that is why this organization exists today. This is a part of our tri-state initiative where we are active in Mississippi, Tennessee, and of course in Arkansas. So again, I bring you warm greetings and welcome from the Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation, in addition to the Arkansas Land and Farm Development Corporation. My name is Ashley Crockett, and enjoy. I want you guys to get as much information as you can. Write down your questions if you have anything for our panelists. We do have representatives from those agencies that can give you that information that you need in order to learn how to access those resources. Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Calvin King, and let me express my sincere appreciation to the mayor, because you really set the tone for this particular event about the bridge itself, and you know that means everyone that's here, both in person and those who are online, then you have a role and a responsibility. That means you are here both to access the information that's going to be made available to you from the various resource agencies. And you are here and hopefully will take the charge and the responsibility also to be that bridge for communication, to move it forward to others who may possibly be in a position where they weren't able to be here. And to be that bridge to continue to support your community and to apply the information accordingly, both for yourself as well as for community purposes. You know, listen, and my opening part is under one USDA, urban and rural. And when I say one USDA, because USDA has an abundance of resources, both for urban and for rural. In certain presentations, I've heard people talk about the fact that USDA could build an entire community, a town, if it was USDA rural development. And it could build an entire town and the outskirts of that town, the communities, the farming aspect of that, as well as other rural housing and other resources that apply, that makes everything economically feasible and create those opportunities for individuals. Let me say also, we're going to talk about here, and this is going to be, I know some of you have had some discussion with Mr. Jones, what we call a round table discussion, where you will ask questions. I will ask questions also to the resource panelists in reference to their organization and what they have to offer and how they are putting those resources out now. I'm going to ask also from the resource agency representatives, will they specifically give certain information as it relates to the Inflation Reduction Act, and that's an act itself that's out now that has to do with one section that's 22006 as a part of that act, and that has certain benefits. Another part of that act is under 22007, and it offers some different special resources now, particularly for the social disadvantaged individuals, the underserved population in our rural areas, such as where we are here right now. The other area that I'm hopeful that we talk about is the American Rescue Plan. The American Rescue Plan is another piece of legislation that has recently come out that also offers certain resources, more resources, an abundance of resources, an abundance of resources for rural and urban communities. And I say one USDA. At one time, Farm Service Agency, they didn't do business in rural, urban cities with a certain population. If you were above, I think one time it was 35,000 or 50,000 now. But now they can do business in urban communities. Farm finance, they can do that. Under the urban agriculture portions of it, and what we call micro urban farming. NRCS is not limited to rural areas. And that's Natural Resource Conservation Service. Natural Resource Conservation Services, they can also do business in both urban and rural communities. Rural development, a little different story. Rural development. Now, they are limited on certain things and what they can do, and they'll talk more about that. When you get to a certain population level, if you're talking about housing, talking about certain other programs that they have to offer, and I'm only going to reference the energy program as one example. And I think they can do the energy program in urban areas. The room over here, to my right, they can do energy in urban areas. I'm not sure about the cooperative program that they have, if they can do that in urban, but cooperative itself, as far as financing both that grant program as well as that loan program, provide major opportunities from a business development perspective. If you're talking about creating cooperative markets, production cooperatives, whichever. And those are all possibilities. And it takes time to do certain things, and it takes the planning initiative on the part of the community, and where you have a population or a certain number of individuals that has such an interest. But again, as I say, we all have a role. I mean, you are part of that bridge, or you are a bridge, and you're one of the bridges. To making sure that others understand those resources and how you can work both together and with these agencies to create opportunities as well as economic prosperity in the local area. So that's the other area I just wanted to cover. I think I've talked about all four of these areas of what we're going to have our discussions on. And how many of you know a farm? If you're not farming, you know a farm. Now, how many of you know that in the Inflation Reduction Act, and you often question the FSA on this, that in the Inflation Reduction Act, that there are some major opportunities, and they have begun a process called equity, equity building, equity programs, where a lot of farmers who may have debt with FSA, and they meet certain program requirements because of challenges they've had with the farming operation, be it deficiencies in the marketplace, be it because of disaster situation, or other challenges. Now, I farmed for 20 years, and trust me, you're gonna have a lot of challenges in dealing with a farming operation, okay? But that they can get that debt either written off or written down. And when I say written off or written down, it would depend. But if it is past due for 60 to 90 days or more, because again of challenges or because of disasters or whatever economic challenge they may have faced, then they may have gotten a letter. They may not quite understand what that letter means. But then they should contact FSA to see exactly what it means, how it can be beneficial for them, and what FSA is offering now from that perspective. That's on the debt side of it. There are other areas that USDA will be implementing a program on that has to do with both the equity aspect of it, as well as the past that have affected many individuals, particularly in the underserved population, as it relates to not having equal access. And equal access, so, there was one time they said equity and equality. But because past itself did not offer itself past experience of the underserved population may not have had equal access to programs of services as it relates to them being able to be successful in their farming business enterprise. Now, they're going to be establishing these regional centers, regional agencies that will be implementing the program that would provide for individuals who may have been discriminated against in some form of action as it had to do with access to resources, or as it has to do with equality, what equality really truly means, and that may not have happened in the past in the same way as it was supposed to occur. I mean, and this is that's a fact. Again, I can tell you direct stories myself, and I farmed for 20 years, coming out of college, and returning back to the farm to work with a family farming operation and my own independent aspect of that farming operation. So I know what this is because I had this thing. So I know what this is. Not speaking from hearsay, the story that was told by someone else. I know what the experience is something. So in that, and some of you may have heard discussions about that, but that's some of what the Inflation Reduction Act and also as amended from the American Rescue Plan is about as it relates to the underserved population and the minority population. When I say an underserved population, be you African American, be you white, Hispanic, whichever, any population basis of citizenship that may have been underserved, may have been in a situation that have put them in a position where they are not where they need to be or should be, and may have certain debt situations. We are going to also talk about air property. In a lot of cases, some of you seem to not really understand what air property is about. But air property is simply a situation where your heirs or your forefathers who may have passed on and they left property or something of value. But particularly in most cases, it may be land that you may have an interest in, or your family member may have interest in. Now, there are others in your community, in your church, that may be experiencing the situation or that situation that exists. You will find that in a lot of our small towns, you see these vacant lots of community in our communities and areas. There may be two lots. It may be a combination of where there was a house seat, and they had a large garden. It may have been a half acre or acre, but they had a large garden. And those individuals were passed on and sort of sits idly by and nothing's being done with it, and depreciation occurring on the house and things of that nature. So a lot of things, those are air property situations, and where family members to be paying taxes and still sitting there, but again, it's not been used to the maximum extent that it could be. And that could be an opportunity for this area and for the city, and where people could offer that either for lease or a micro-urban farm, that they can lease it from someone, get a farm number, the process, don't talk about that, get a farm number, and become a micro-urban farm or a small town farm in Jonestown, Mississippi. So those are just what we call some possibilities. And it may be that you're already in a situation and you're growing a large garden, or your neighbor's growing a large garden, and you can take advantage of it. They can be a farmer and have a micro-urban farm and be eligible for services from USDA, Farm Service Agency, the microloan program, NRCS, the conservation program. They can apply for, to NRCS for EQIP, and that's only one example, but they'll talk more about that. So the intent here is to be a discussion, your questions to be asked to the panelists, or to me, and we're going to move forward for them. We want this to be a very fruitful meeting for you. A fruitful meeting for you. Business resource opportunities, business loan, housing, a housing grant program with USDA rural development. I don't know what the dollar amount is with RD now, but on there, and there are eligibility requirements, you know, with the USDA rural housing grant program and the loan program, 1% interest rate. All right, RD is getting 1% interest rate, $10,000 on the grant program, $40,000 on the loan program, $40,000 on the loan program. Sound like an auction. They give me 10, give me 40. So you got $50,000 there. So the point is that, you know, these are resources, people, and USDA is not saying, okay, you can't get these resources. USDA is saying this. USDA is saying, this is today that we want to deal with equity in our local community, in our local areas. And obviously, if you're talking about $10,000 grant, $20,000 loan, 1% interest rate, $50,000 for renovation on a piece of property that may appraise you make renovation on it. And this is only an example. If it appraised at $50,000 now, and after the renovation, after market appraisal, it may be $80,000, $100,000. That's only an example. Now that would mean that with a debt of $40,000 and you have at a 1% interest rate, and you have $100,000 value, the asset there now, you see where the equity is. You got a $60,000 equity position. So they're about building equity in the local community. I can give all other kind of examples. Same thing would apply with USDA Natural Resource Conservation Services, irrigation versus non-irrigation, irrigated property. If you were dealing with conservation easement on irrigation versus non-irrigation, the value point of non-irrigation versus irrigated property going into conservation easement program. The RCPP, am I right? Program that you have, the RCPP, what all that means with USDA and RCS. And I'm gonna quit right now because they're gonna say, wait, we're talking all our programs. And I don't want to take nothing away from nobody else. And I know because they have a lot to tell you, and I have a lot of questions to ask. But I do want to make sure that everyone gets the information that you need, get the questions down, and we're gonna go through here. Next one we have is Natural Resource Conservation Services that's gonna come to us now, and it's on equity farming in RCS.
John Coleman, the Soil Conservation and Community County for the USDA and NRCS. A little bit about the NRCS. We are an agency that provides technical and financial assistance to rural and urban producers. And what we suggest the producers do is get them in the FSA office so they can be in the system. Once they're in the system, they can come to our office and apply for the program. And what they can do is put in application, and some of the programs that we listen for this program is specialty crop. We have fund food for specialty crop producers, autonomous silking, and also we have a program for urban agriculture. On the urban agriculture, we have some practices, conservation practices, which are high tunnels, compost facilities, conservation cover. We can provide connected assistance on pipeline micro irrigation system, land leveling, mulching, timers for your wells, nutrient management, pest management, raised beds, and low tone. Under this specialty crops, this is for producers that is, that's with trees, vegetables, herbs, spices. This is a special type of program for them, which we offer the same practices, but also we can do pads and pipes, which can hold the sediment inside the field, bring in water for migrating birds and things like that. But any questions about the programs that you are thinking about, or any questions for the NRTS general?
So what we'd like to do is, we want everyone to make the presentation. This is NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services. And then we're gonna come back with the questions, for each agency. Keep in mind the presentation about NRCS, as they talked about, the program they have to offer. So, and we'll talk more about what that means from both a program and a practicing perspective. And we'll get into the cost aspect of that.
And also, what Dr. King mentioned was the Inflation Reduction Act. It is a type of program they just came out with, and they're basically trying to get producers into climate smart, more cover crop, more green on the ground, instead of leaving the soil bare. Because it's wind erosion. We work on resource concerns. So wind erosion is a resource concern. Water erosion, that's a resource concern. And this is what we work off of. All right. There we are for the NRCS.
Okay, thank you again, representative of NRCS. And next we will have a representative from FSA. That's the Farm Service Agency.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ashley Laughlin. I'm the Executive Director of the Farm Service Agency. I manage Trinity County and Pinellas County office. I'm super happy to be here to answer any questions that you guys can have today. I'm going to go over a lot of information really quickly, but I wanted you to know that at the table at the front, I've left a booklet, and it's called Get Started, and it has an overview of everything that I'm going to talk about today. I also don't know where everybody's coming from, so I went ahead and I printed out a map, and on the back of that map, it's going to have a list of all the county offices in the state. So whatever county that you guys are operating or living in, flip it over. It's in alphabetical order. You should be able to find your local office and all the contact information that you need. You know that being the second athlete to get up and present today that did not have formal anchor training is a game changer, right? So the Farm Service Agency is a customer-driven agency with a diverse and multi-talented workforce. We're dedicated to achieving an economically and environmentally sound future for American agriculture. What's that gonna look like? Moving to the future. That's why we're here, right? We want to change it. We want to do so equitably to serve all farmers, ranchers, and partners, agricultural partners, through delivering effective, efficient agricultural programs. We want to make sure that we remain market oriented, that we are supporting economically and environmentally sound American agriculture, and that we are delivering an abundant, safe, and affordable food and fiber supply. The most important part of our goal is to do that with quality agricultural communities that start small like we are right now. So I already told you that where to get the information. This is going to come at you fast. There's no way that you guys are going to write it down. There's no way I can tell you everything that you need to know. The most important part is that I'm just going to let you know a few of the things that I think may be most important for you guys to take away. And I want to encourage you to go to farmers.gov. That's the USDA website. On that website, there is an abundance of information for every program that we have. It also has, and it's not just for the Farm Service Agency, it gives you avenues to look into the other agencies as well. It also will help you find your local county office there as well if you happen to lose the map that you take home with you today. So FSA has a great and forward-thinking focus on conservation. Through our Conservation Reserve Program, we offer rental rate programs for your agricultural land that you want to set aside for conservation practices. Some of the popular practices that we have in this area of the state are going to include hardwoods, pines, pollinator habitats, and grasslands, some of which there is a program set aside for grasslands that can be grazed. So that might be interesting to some of you livestock individuals that may be here today. We offer organic certification and education assistance, as well as food safety certification assistance for those of you in urban and smaller micro farms in your produce communities. We offer a large variety of disaster assistance that covers commodities like honey, vineyards, orchards, catfish, livestock, like your cattle, goats, chickens, sheep. These are some of your more backyard operations, and it goes all the way up to large scale. Honeybees and catfish are going to be covered under what we call the Emergency Assistance for Livestock. We call that ELAP. It's a lot easier to say and to remember. We cover cattle and goats, sheep, your larger livestock herds. We're going to cover that under what we call the Livestock Indemnity Program, LIP for short. And our tree assistance program is going to cover your vines and trees for those of you that have orchards. So if you're growing peaches, apples, blackberries, grapes, that's the assistance programs that you're going to be going for. One of our biggest products that we have, and one that's going to be a little bit more interesting to you guys, which I'll get into in just a second, is our non-insured crop disaster assistance program. We call it NAP for short, NAP. This is an insurance type program that covers your specialty crops that otherwise are not covered by your traditional crop insurance companies. One of the things that makes this program most attractive is that the basic coverage for entities and individuals who qualify as socially disadvantaged, limited resource, beginning, and veteran farmers and ranchers is free. Remember that these are weather-related programs. So the eligibility is going to first start with a weather event. So if adverse weather occurs, the most important thing that you guys can do is take a moment, pause, take photos, write down what happened, try to get some weather data. How much did it rain? Was it a tornado? That's what I want you guys to remember most about that program right now. If a disaster occurs, yes, we will try to help you. But before you even get to thinking about that, document, so that you have something to bring to us so we can help you. And I also wanted to use that as a really good segue into reminding you guys how important it is to keep good records. Record keeping can literally make you and break you, both in your operation and when we are doing business with you guys. The more information that you can give to us that's in an organized, cleaner fashion, the quicker and the faster that we can help you. It also helps us to understand you as a person and your operation so we know what fits you the best. FSA is split into two different, so the Farm Service Agency, we're split into two different groups. We're on the farm program side, which is what I do, and we have a farm loan side of this. On the farm program side, which is my side, we do offer two loan type programs. One is going to be the Farm Storage Facility Loan. These are loans that you can use to obtain and establish farm storage and handling operations. So for your more micro and urban aspects, that could be, well, and can start big. So with your grain bins and your hay barns, all the way down to refrigerated trucks and cold storage. And especially when you're getting into produce, maybe some more of your washing stations. There's a lot in this program that we haven't educated the public on enough. And I love these smaller settings because I would love for you to come in and talk to us about it. We can do so much more with this program. The second loan type is going to be called a marketing assistance loan. This is going to be more for your larger commodity farmers and your row croppers. Basically what it does, it allows you to take a loan out on your grain so that you have more access to a better market for yourself later on down the road. So you borrow on your drain now, and then when the market gets better for you later, you sell, you pay us back. So the farm loan side of things offers ownership and operation loans, which I'm not gonna speak on today. Meredith is gonna come up here and talk to you guys a little bit about that. And then I wanted to ask a question that was already asked because I was interested to see, and remind me again, how many of you guys are going to be new beginning farmers? New beginning farmers. How many of you have never done business with us before? Same guys, right? Okay. So, and the reason I'm saying that is because at the front, I also brought ahead of time for you guys packets. So for you to establish a relationship with us, all of the paperwork that you would need, I went ahead and gave it to you so you could take it home and review it. Also within that packet is a welcome booklet. And there's going to be further detailed fact sheets about some of the paperwork that's in there and some of the other requirements that you're going to need to do while you're doing business with us to stay eligible. Very quickly, I was going to go through a few of them if that was okay with you guys. Okay. We're gonna give them the yellow ones.
So yellow.
So there's gonna be two different packets.
Okay.
And so the two different packets is because some people operate as an individual and some people are gonna operate as an entity. And there will be one small change between an entity, like if you're operating in as a partnership or an LLC, or if you're operating as an individual. But the paperwork is intense enough that we still can't look at it.
Okay.
Okay?
So do you want them to keep the thing?
So it depends on them. So if you're operating as an individual, as yourself, take the yellow folder with you. If you're operating through an entity, take a blue folder.
Hey, what's the difference in the two?
So the difference in the people, and that's why I said, so the difference is the 902I or the 902. Yeah, you can. Okay.
If you're already existing.
If you're already existing with us, if you don't have any updates, you're more than most likely have done these things. Right.
You don't make the contract, so,
And it depends on that, on what you got going on, yes. So this is your basic, like when you come into the office, so that's what it is. So the first page that you guys are gonna have is your, customer data worksheet. It's like when you go to any business, it's your name, your phone number, your address, it's your personal details, right? So we also, in this packet, we have given you a farm operating plan. We want to know how you do business. Where's your capital, your land, your equipment, where is that coming from? This form is the place to detail that out for us. There's another form in here that's a little difficult for people sometimes, and it's the highly erodible land conservation and wetland conservation certification. Pretty basically what this is saying is that under our conservation requirements for eligibility, you may not farm on highly erodible land. And if NRCS, our partnering agency, comes out and they do their inspection and they determine it is highly erodible, it's not the end of the day. They do have ways and practices that you can overcome that and continue to farm your land. What you cannot do is farm on wetlands. So if there was a wetland that was converted, then we have options for you to put it back or to give something up. So there's options in there to allow you to keep it. There is some detailed information in there that I provided for you guys to illustrate.
what is the, smallest acreage you can register?
Point. If you own a beehive, it's about the size of the beehive because we have in some individuals, that's what they do, they raise honey and bees. So it's 0.1 or 0.01. 0.01. So about the size of the beehive is how I like to describe it.
Register that.
Yes, sir.
Someone wanted to know if there an online source for those packets.
For the forms,
So, yeah, packets.
aren't attainable from farmers.gov?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Farmers.gov.
One thing I want to say, if you're going to address farmers.gov, we have a process called a level 2 e-authentication. I would recommend you look on farmers.gov and find out about level 2 e-authentication, because almost everything that you can do in the office with the exception of farm loans, you can do with that level two EI authentication. Level two EI authentication. But just, what I would do is I would review it, and because you probably have to, it's a real simple format, but I would review it that way if you have any questions, you can contact your local office.
Right.
But all forms, especially once you get that access, all forms will be available. Yeah.
He beat me to the punch. I was gonna do that. It was one that did read the package. Yeah, he told me to hurry up. All right, so we're gonna talk about your adjusted gross income, this is where you're gonna certify with us your income, and the biggest one that I wanted to talk to you about today is the socially disadvantaged limited resource beginning farmer and veteran farmers and ranchers. This is how the agency is trying to collect the data and to make sure that we have all the information that we need about our individuals. So that in our systems, we have you flagged, we have you noticed, we know who you are. So any of the additional benefits that are due to you, we have it in the system, and that only happens for this form. So make sure that when you go into your local offices, if you don't have one, fill this form. Okay? And the rest are pretty self-explanatory. So we're gonna want leases, we're gonna want your equipment list, and we're gonna want you to write down your management activities. I'll give you examples of all of those things in your packet as well. Okay. You told me to speed it up, and I think I'm done. Do you have any other questions, or are we going? Awesome, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, I'm Meredith Rhodes. I am a farm loan officer in the Sonoma County office, which is Batesville. Our office, the Batesville office covers Sonoma County, Lafayette County, Marshall County and Tate County, but we also work through the Tallahatchie office, which is located in Austin. And that office covers Sonoma County, Cook County, Tallahatchie, Tunica, and Yamabush. If I don't have this, you're not hearing me. I'll speak more of that.
For the online people.
Oh, this is online. Okay, got it. I'm relatively new to the Farm Service Agency. Prior to this, I was a school teacher. Those kids drove me insane, and I took me running to find something different. So I came onto the program about 2 years ago. So I'm still in the learning stages. I do have two of my mentors here with me. My farm loan manager, Mr. David Dura. He is over the Nolan County office as well as Tallahatchie County office. And then our district director is Mr. Iman Woods, who's here with us. And if I can't answer your question, I know they can. So Miss Ashley was passing out an index card. On this index card on this side, and if you didn't get one, we can definitely get you one. This is our farm loan office staff for the Canola County office as well as the Tallahatchie County office. Our email address is on there. Feel free to ask us any questions that you have. You flip it over on the back side. Everything I'm going to talk about today, you can find at farmers.gov. I broke it down as to exactly where you need to go. It's going to show you, like, if you're interested in doing vegetables, if you're interested in producing cattle, it's going to feed you through questions that will lead you exactly where you need to go for the type of loan that's going to provide for you. Okay, so what are the things that we have out there? We have a couple different types of loans. We have farm operating loans, which are available for purchasing cattle, for your annual operating fees of purchasing seed and chemicals and so forth. We can purchase equipment. We can help you to do some renovations on your property. So all of those things fall into our farm operating loans. We also have farm ownership loans where we can actually help you to purchase land. And the benefits of our programs is I don't know if you've been to the bank lately, but the interest rates at the bank are on up there, right? So our benefits of our program is that we can help you in the area of interest rates, definitely. However, make this note out there is we're not here to compete with local lenders. We're here to assist you guys who cannot possibly go to a local meeting because of maybe a lack of experience. So if you're big time, bank, you're not going to want to offer $600,000 to somebody that's just getting started, right? So we're here to help you in that aspect. Okay, we have loans that you can get on micro loans, which are up to $50,000. Used to be, one of the things, the benefit of that was it was a simplified application. You know, it's not simplified anymore, it's all on the same application, but don't worry, that's what we're here for, is we're here to help you. If you have questions at any time throughout the process, give us a call, shoot us an email, come by and visit us, we're here to assist you guys. We also have other loans, so let's say that you're already established and, you are a higher scale on the amount of funds that you're gonna need. We do have programs called guaranteed loans, and those are where we work with the banks, the local lenders, to get you finance for operating purposes, for land ownership and so forth. We even have, if you have children, we even have youth loans. And those are opportunities for you to purchase cattle, or, I know we've done a lot of cattle loans, we've done some goat loans. So there's opportunities out there to get our youth involved, and that's, because I was a school teacher, that's where my heart is. So if you have questions about your youth, it's anywhere from age 10 to 20, and it's up to $5,000 for them. But I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have either during this, or I will be glad to stay late and visit with you guys, because I know we're throwing a lot of information at you. Let's see what else. I probably left out a ton, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there for you guys. And really, we have to individualize our loans to you guys, because everybody's different. You may be producing peanuts and you may be producing soybeans. So we definitely have to tailor our program to fit you. So afterwards, I'll stay around for a little while and we can visit and we can see what we have that'll work to your specific needs. Right? What questions are there? All right, make sure if you did not get one of these that you do. Again, it has our contact information as well as exactly where to go about our loan information.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of information, but that was awesome. And I want to recognize the young people. She made a very, very good point. There's the reason why I kind of got into this. I know I was a little young, but I'm in my late 30s, but I am so engaged in getting our youth more interested in farming, just because, just like anything else in the world, the children and the youth are our what? Exactly. So thank you guys again for participating with this. Let's move along, and we're going to have a representative from rural development.
Hey, I'm Melanie Belducci, and I work for the Rural Development Office in Batesville, and I'm a loan specialist, and right now I'm an acting area director. I don't have anything that specifically pertains to farmers, but we do all have several programs that we have to offer that if you're on the board or if you're an individual with housing needs, we may be able to assist you. We do have a 502 program. It's a single family housing program, and that is for you to purchase a home or to build a home in your area. It's low interest rates. It's based on your income and a little bit of your credit score. And right now the interest rate's around 3%, so it's relatively low for that type of loan. We also have a 504 single family housing program, and that is to repair your home, your existing home. You do have to own that home. You can still have a mortgage with it, just as long as you own it. And that's to repair or rehabilitate or to make it accessible if you become disabled or have issues with that. And that loan is 1%, and it's also based on your income. It can be a grant. We have a community facilities program that is for municipalities and nonprofits to be able to build community centers or obtain a police car or a fire truck, or if there's not a daycare in your area, we can assist nonprofits. And that one's pretty open. There's a lot of different programs that can fall under that. You can just talk with me after the program and I'll be glad to answer any questions. We also have a water and waste program that is for nonprofits and water systems to be able to put in a new well or a new tank or for distribution aspects. And we do have some other programs that are handled in our state office that are through the Rural Business and Cooperative Services Agency division. And, one of the programs that we deal with under that is the Rural Business Development Grant. And that is for, people that own a business, a small and emerging business that wish to improve that business, to apply through, our agency. The cutoff period's already lapsed for this year, but it'll come out again in February of next year. That I can answer questions on that as well. Anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Does private property fall under your category as well? The air property?
Air property? There are properties that are on the heirs own, and that's something you need to get cleared up with an attorney possibly to be able to get assistance on that property.
I'm done. I'm taking your time. No, I was just gonna say, I was gonna move on to the next portion, which is the question and answer portion. So hopefully you guys have either written your questions down or you have them on the top of your mind. But I'm gonna go one at a time. Let's just go from section to section and start with the first speaker. So the representative from USDA, who has questions that you have for Mr. Chauncey, correct? Mr. Newsom? Okay, Mr. Coleman, I'm sorry. Do you have any questions as it relates to NRCS and those services, which are again, the conservation reserve program, anything in micro farming? Okay, we have a question over here.
You mentioned something about herbs, and I wanted to ask. Thank you. You mentioned something about herbs, but I didn't catch that program name and what it was covered under.
Specialty crop program.
Okay. And what else fall under specialty crop?
Trees and vegetables and spices and herbs.
Okay.
Herbs, yeah, it do hemp. It do hemp out. Yes, sir.
Okay, do we have any other?
Certain type of vegetable, certain type of tree. Well, it's just all about, as long as you are just producing and you make a profit or something off of it, you being an ag producer, we can provide technical and financial assistance. Yes.
Any other questions on tree farming? What other sections do you have?
Urban ag,
Urban ag?
hospitals, raised pigs. We just, suggestion you have the space for the hot tunnel, which you want. We have low tunnels, we have hot tunnels, and we have smaller tunnels. It's just based off the square footage that you wanna, build your tunnel. And this is what we provide. This is applied for, you can apply just for a tunnel, but it's also other practices that can go with that hot tunnel. That you can provide financial assistance.
You have a farmer, you have several entities operating. And he gets to apply for, I don't.
Well, where on that application, we have individual entities that you can apply for the program. And we just, under the entity, it would be, you have a decision maker, somebody that can sign for the entity and things like that. But, if multiple, well, we provide one per application, that's all. Yes, sir, one per application.
I wanna make sure we can hopefully get some clarity on that question. Am I clear to understand that you have more than one entity that's operating on one farm? when I say farm numbers, say it's 80 acres and you have one farm number, and you have more than one entity that's using a piece of that property.
Right, each one of them are contracted out.
Right, right.
I think it's two, you can have their own farm number.
You're right, okay, so if it's 80 acres of land, if it's one farm number, then you should be very specific that on each one of your lease agreements, that lease agreement gives a description of that property that's on that 80 acres of land. So if it's gonna be the north side of that property description consisting of 3 acres or 5 acres, then you can give that description in your lease agreement. That this description that John Doe has leased from A, 3 acres or 5 acres of land, from own property description on the north side or the northeast side of said property description, okay, consists of 3 acres. Because you have to have a farm number, when you make application for these particular services. I'm saying how some are unequal still, I think that's from correct on that. So you have multiple entities, so it's not a cooperative, and I think those are very good initiatives as well. Because it allows you to support new beginning farmers, micro farmers or smaller scale style farmers. But you will have to have, so that you have this lease agreement, a legal lease agreement from the property owner with that farm number and the description of that property, both for NRCS services as well as for FSA services. What are you farming, the farm number, and the description of that property. And knowing very specific, it's not the entire 80 acres, there's only a piece of that or a section of that 80 acre. And it's even better if individuals, and I know some of us who are doing that, if they have a 40-acre plot, and again, these are only examples, they have a 40-acre plot, then you even put numbers in the area, so when they come out to observe and to see that this is plot 1, plot 2, plot 3, and so again, then it would be descriptive on your lease agreement, that farm number, and we can ask this question to FSA as an example. If he's given this on the program side, will FSA give multiple farm numbers on one large piece of property that already have an existing farm number?
It would depend, so, and this is fall into air property, and so say a piece of land has now been passed on to 12 siblings, like. So it depends. It depends on the situation. So, in one aspect, I would say yes. So, in air property, so the heirs, there's 12 brothers and sisters, and now we gotta cut this bill to 12 times because now it's 12 different owners. And in that situation, and each individual, wanted their own farm number, yes. But, and in your situation, say we have a 100-acre field with 4 different entities forming 25 acres, you can have multiple producers on a farm number. So, and then the way we get around that is we call it other tenant.
Right.
So like he was describing, a descriptive lease that puts everybody on the land, saying that they have risk and authority to farm on this land. And how many acres it is per entity, it's allowable, it's lower. And actually, all of the administrative sides of things, so your customer information, the way that you're setting up your entities, your entity information, your farming leases, your farm members, all of that, even if you're working with NRCS, you start with us because we're the agency that handles, that's why we call each other a sister agency, because we work together that way.
And while we're already on FSA, if you guys have questions, I know my first time potential farmers, if you have questions, the time is now for the representatives of FSA.
Yes, you was referring to, special crop. You think the areas and stuff like that.
I was looking at something a little bit different. I've been looking at ginseng and informing it. Yeah, what do I need to do, to do that? I know it's mostly a lot of them, raised in rainforest areas that's real hot. This area here is real hot. I was wondering if we produce a good crop of ginseng.
And I hate to give you this terrible answer,
Good, I want to look.
but professionally, we don't answer technical questions for crop and raising crops and cultivating crops. You could check with your extension office. That would be a great resource to start with. And I hate to do that. Now, maybe on the street one day we can have a conversation, but we actually don't handle that at the Farm Service Agency. So we don't get technical advice. We don't talk about the farming aspects. On what you do in technical terms every day on the farm and how to grow crops. And I'm really sorry about that. I can't tell you if you want to talk about whether or not we can cover such a crop.
That's right.
Then, yes, sir, I do believe, that it is on our specialty crop list, but again, you could go online at farmers.gov. The great resource right there, right in it gives you a list of all the specialty crops that we cover. Also step by the office where we keep the list as well. It's a very long list. And I apologize, I don't have it completely memorized because we have such a large variety of crops that we do cover.
Well, that's the question, I was looking for. Can we recover exactly? You know, all our own list per se. Let me ask that.
Yeah.
Okay, I usually talk loud enough without a mic. Mama said I had a small body but a big mouth. Okay, all right. Okay, when it comes to those specialty crops like that, you have to have a market, you have to have a price, an established market and an established price. In order for us to offer NAP on that particular crop, we'd have to meet those two definitions. Currently, we may or may not have a market or a price for ginseng. When I say price, I'm talking about an average statewide price. And also on specialty crops like that, to be covered by NAP, you must have a contract. You must have a contract with a buyer. If you do not have a contract with a buyer, we're more than likely are not going to cover a specialty crop like that. But we will look into it if, for example, you have it, because we want to make sure that you're able, we want to put you on the road of success. We want to make sure you're able to market your crop. Okay. So that's one of the aspects of dealing with that. And I know ginseng is very popular right now. So that might be something that, what county are you in, sir? Palmer County. Rebecca, Weatherall is your county executive director there. Run by and talk with her. You're welcome.
Okay, we have another question for FSA.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you wanted to elaborate on that, Doc?
No, I want to give reference to, on the ginseng. So you have a major resource here in Mississippi and, through the university system. But I would also recommend that you talk with, Alcorn University, about that particular crop, and their extension program department, that they have, so the university has that. Market accessibility is very, very crucial, having a contract where you're gonna sell it to. The other reason that that's important, you're gonna get financing for that, not just the NAP side of it, but on the finance, on the program side, but on the financing side, with, Farm Service Agency, you need to do a specific projection of your revenue, based on your market, and what your return is going to be, from what your investment is, whether that cash is gonna make money, not make money, the intention, whenever you put money in, the intention is to get money out of it, over and beyond that you put into it, unless there is a disaster. So that farm business plan, combined back with, linking the market itself in is very, and the same thing is going to apply back to NRCS as well. Certain programs that can be beneficial for you in producing that crop. I will say market necessarily, would be one of the requirements. But if you want to sign up for, I'm just gonna say equip and to have irrigation, that mitigates your risk factor in dealing with the production. That can also have a significant impact if there is a disaster, for whatever reason, you don't get the returns as projected on your crop. But you have implemented all the practices, that is necessary, to mitigate your risk with an intention of making money in case there are certain challenges, that put you in a position that you have to apply for NAP. And I think now any adjuster is going to, they will look at all of those factors. You know, market itself, knowing if you have a market for it, but the fact that, you know, you don't get your projected production from the crop and automatically, impact your projected revenue. And based on that percentage of base of losses that you have, as they do their assessment from the insurance perspective, they'll make a determination of whether or not they're gonna pay or not pay. It's based on what it's telling you. Okay.
All right, our next question for FSA.
Back to them.
Thank you all the great information you have shared with us today so far. My question was, I was looking at, actually you mentioned the social disadvantage beginning farming and ranching. And I saw here the first step for new farming is to contact their beginning farming and ranching coordinator, would that be? Yeah. And that's what county is doing, another county,
Yeah.
it's just for my farms.
But so they're local county office, that's.
Okay, do we have any more questions for FSA, or our loan officers that are present?
I have a question, where you said that we can get funding for cold storage, refrigeration, and rain management. So you come to see you or whatever.
No, that's on the program side.
Okay.
We're going in the state to the CEC.
Okay.
Not the farm loan manager, your local office, I just got there to help with. And, they're very interested to do this.
You said on the storage facility, you provide financing, on the program side, you provide, revenue for protocol, vegetable crop, storage facility that you provide.
Correct, so it's a storage and going loan program.
Okay.
Things that would, so the areas that are gonna fall under, like your storage, like your grain storage, and then your handling and of your commodities that you're doing. So like a lot of people are coming in, they're getting the refrigerator trucks, they're in more cold storage to keep their produce, you know, until they can get market on. There are a lot of people in my area and they're looking at hay barns because a lot of people are getting paid, that's their revenue. And there's a lot more on the list and it would be, the person needs to come in with their individual operation and talk about, like, hey, I have these needs, I'd like to talk about this program, and then we can put out and look at it and see what things they apply to you. It's gonna be very individual. And the delta, what we see mostly are great things.
The reason that this experience talk about this cold storage, the loan side, I know you have the grain storage facilities, and then they have the, of course, they have the market loans that you do on that. Those are traditional crop, you know, row crop production, horticulture crop. And specifically, if you are looking at storage and transporting from field to market, trucking issue, that may possibly serve you better on the loan side as a chattel investment as part of your operating. That's what, 7 years? So you have 7 years on that, on the repayment. So if you need a 10-wheeler, I'm gonna say a 10-wheeler as an example, and I do know producers that are doing that, and you put it into as a beginning farmer. So I need a truck for transporting, but also that truck is important to get it out of the sun as quick as possible into a cool situation to take the field heat out. So in those type of situations, it might work the same on the program side, but normally when we're doing business, farm plans or packages for them, we look at the mobile, food storage and transportation, as being a part of those operations.
You have a man speak. You
Now, I'm gonna send you over the rural development on that one, so that's a very good question. And I specifically, when you start to talk about, rural, prosperity building with community facilities, partnership with the city, and our nonprofit, can you answer that for me?
Hold on, Doc, one more, you can hold that question, we have one more for FSA from our mayor, one more question, and then we'll go over to rural development.
It can go on, but it's not everything. I just want to go through.
Okay, yours is rural development too, okay, well, Doc was right on point, I'm sorry. So we're gonna go over and transition into rural development at this point, and so, we'll start with that question, Doc.
But what I wanna make sure, we're gonna come back to FSA, because there's an issue, a question on our property on FSA. And we're gonna come back to NRCS too, to make sure we get these numbers out here, on their programs, the 90% cost share. When you sign up, if it's for, the conservation program practices, putting in irrigation well, if it's for CSP conservation stewardship practices, on dealing with crop rotation, cover crops and things of that nature. But we'll come back to NRCS also, and back to FSA on the air property financing question and what FSA fits in that.
We have done that in the past, and I believe Cook County has a vegetable processing center,
small. Yeah,
okay.
something on the smaller scale.
Sure.
Small farm.
Yes, sir.
For your process of training. Or reason.
Like a technical assistance? Part of it?
Like the commercial kitchen. Like a commercial kitchen, that's not a big facility like a Mars. The smaller facility, that you have on the property where the vegetable after being grown, there's moving inside, and getting stored.
Let me suggest this to you, with you and a little about it, possibly, that he's given reference to, one, you come to the field and you take the facility, you want to give some added value.
Correct.
To that product, they want to grade and pack out.
Right.
And, you have an added value grant program.
Right.
That's the one thing.
Right, there is an added value program that's handled out of our state office, and I'll be glad to get you some additional information if you'll just give me your contact information. And I'll be glad to get that to you, but that is handled out of our Jackson.
Okay, we have a question in rural development from the mayor, Mayor Vivian, if you would like to ask your question.
Okay, so, I heard you talk about 504. Which would repair our houses that we own. You mentioned in passing a 1% or a grant. Could you please, before I ask the question, last year, I believe it was, we talked to someone and what they said was that for seniors, we could borrow $1,000 and we will receive a $10,000 grant. Is this still available? If so, what do we need to do to move forward with that? And I'd like to also ask about subdivision development from clearing the land to actually building streets and homes.
Okay, under the 504 program, there's not a specific, say you borrow $1,000 and you get a grant. You could be eligible for a loan or a grant or a combination of both. It's not a monetary amount. It depends on what you can repay for that, loan based on your income and your current expenses.
Yeah, so. And we're very specific on that program, Mary, for those who are here on the 504 and with 502. Okay, on your 502 program, both on the grant and on the loan side, that's a $40,000 loan, 1%. And what used to be, I know that everything is paying with this, but it's okay, 1% interest rate. $10,000 grant. Maximum $10,000 grant. Under the 502 program. 504 program, sorry, 504 program. I think I'm going to get that. But under the 504 program, $10,000, up to $10,000 grant, the $40,000 loan for rehab purposes on housing. Now, I don't know, I think the next question to be asked, but that is based on income. Eligibility, income is a determining factor, and I think age.
A little bit of credit.
I'll just say, the age. Now, of course, I don't qualify really for that, but 62 years of age or older on the 502 program. 62 years, 504 on the 504 program, you have to be 62 years are disabled, 62 years old are disabled. Eligibility requirement. The other eligibility requirement is income. And the income guidelines is in accordance with HUD guidelines. The same guidelines occur, and they have a chart on that. So I would suggest that the mayor would get that chart from USDA, because the mayor's office is a resource area, and have that in her office, and she knows her constituents that she is working with and dealing with. She wants to see her community improve and the resources apply. But that chart is in the office, and individuals who have an interest to go to the mayor's office and let the mayor's office know, or whoever she assigns to that they have a need for housing renovation, and she has a resource agency. That's why she's audited. Okay, to have this need. So that is 62 years of old are disabled. $10,000 grant maximum, $40,000 loan, 1% interest rate. The first thing, that's a very, very minimum loan payment at 1% interest.
A person being qualified for grant and a loan, and $10,000 grant, and then on the other hand, receive a loan if they needed to help finish the repair to their homes.
Yes, they could possibly, depend on their income and showing repayment ability for that. But it could be a combination of one.
I wasn't really, for mine is really not a question, it's basically a comment. And I hear you keep saying their home. And that needs to be emphasized on, because you have to own the home for it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think in our communities now, African American communities, that's what we find. And on the second note of that, the application process itself, beyond these type meetings, what assistance and resources do you have for individuals to complete those applications?
We will be glad to assist you. We can't fill out the application for you. But you can ask questions and we can tell you what goes in the blank. But it's, your name, address, social security number, contact information, who you owe.
That's very simple to follow. But again, we have found out that that is an issue. Beyond these meetings, what is this?
You know, again, that's why we're here. So we're here about partnerships and working with the community, people in the community as well as the city. And again, you know, the mayor wants to see prosperity in the community. I can sincerely appreciate that. If you contact the mayor's office, those individuals' names are on the list. I'll contact our office and we'll do an intake and follow up with that and place the housing. I'm thinking that RD possibly still has a pre-qualifying application, the short version. So, you know, you would start with a pre-qualifying application, which is the short version without doing all of the paperwork that's involved in the process. And that goes back to rural development, and then once that, the pre-qualifying application has been done and sent back in, they'll run that check and everything on it, sort of what those requirements are. Then we would develop a full application with that particular applicant, the individual. But we really want to keep the communication and the process, and the partners in the community, any other organization that's located in the community, where we can work together to make sure that these resources get out, people want to know the resources available, and then how to access those resources. But again, you know, we're here, we want to grow this partnership, grow development. USDA, not the school government. That's why we say one USDA. I'm convinced that USDA is definitely committed to it, both the national as well as the state and local offices, is building both the prosperity aspect of it and equity within the community. That's one program area of opportunity, and there are others as well. Same thing back with NRCS. We talked about the dollar amounts of rural development, the dollar amounts of FSA. They gave reference to the $40,000 as the former individual had questioned a $40,000 micro loan. They have up to $400,000 on the direct loan. So on the direct loan side of it, you know, the beginning farmer, that's up to $400,000 for an operating loan as a beginning farmer. If you have experience, 3 years or more experience as a farm operator, but still do fitting within the context of a beginning farmer less than 10 years, then you would qualify, be eligible for both the operating loan and the land purchase loan. So you've been leasing some land, have opted to buy that, and you have been certifying as a farmer for 3 years or more, and less than 10 years, then you are still a beginning farmer. At that rate, then you qualify for both the operating loan and the capital investment loan for land purchase, which is another $400,000. Okay, so I'm gonna say, it's good. Micro loan 50,000. Direct operating loan is 400,000, and land purchase loan is 600,000. That's if you have been operating for at least minimum of 3 years as a farmer. So you've been certifying your crops and things of that nature, have been filing Schedule F with your tax returns. Then you will qualify for the land purchase loan. So that's really what they have available through FSA within the context of a beginning farmer. Farming at least 3 years, less than 10 years, you're talking about up to $1 million investment that's available, acceptable. And again, of course, that's based on cash flow, security, and things of that nature, up to 150%, I think, security. So if you got $200,000 in equity, other assets, you know, just understand that becomes a part of security, along with any acquisition that you do with the purchase of land and crops or other child investments that may take place with that particular loan. But up to $150,000. So you got 100%, but it's up 150%, right? Up to it. I want to make sure. See, I got my coaches here. If I mess up on anything, if I mess up on anything,
That you're talking and I can just check.
So that's what we're talking about, that's why I put some dollar figures with that. So people know what you're working with, type of resources you can get access to. And what that can look like, and put it on paper from a business plan perspective. Those are the type of dollars we're talking about. I wanna mention this, actually, if it's okay, while I'm, if you ask the question.
Oh, yeah, he was on the phone.
So, you know, I'm gonna tell you, they would tell you, do not give me a mic, so, you know.
Like, that's why I said, Ashley, feel free.
Yeah, the mouth is going in here with the mic. So you're asking, what are we doing about the communication and the educational gap when we're communicating? That's why you hear us talk about a lot that what we're trying to do here is build communities, okay? USDA is not a one-stop shop. Each one of us we're just a part of our community. And we're trying to tell you what we have to contribute, what parts we can do to build this community and to help you get where you're going. So what we are doing and what we do every day is when you come into us, we'll sit down with you, we'll go over them, we'll explain, we can show you where to put it in. What I can't do is help you figure out where your need is or what you're supposed to do, those things like that. And so that's why we're trying to build communities and people who are working with each other so that we can have these relationships with each other and other parts of our towns with our courthouse. And so I can walk over to the courthouse possibly with you at this and be like, hey, she really needs help finding her, you know, it was in our great grandfather's name. Everybody's grown up there since him, the deed was never changed over. What do we do about this? Because I need to farm this land to feed my family. So we have an issue where I can't fill in those gaps for you. I can help you fill in our paperwork, but hopefully we're building those relationships in our community where we all work together. Right? That helpful?
Exactly, and those are some of the things that I think would be, helpful with those resources, because there is a lot of air property in this community. I'm a recipient of air property who's trying to make those transitions.
You know, I wanna come to this air property, piece, in two ways. One, USDA, well, let's go back to what happened since, we said one USDA, they don't stop just with USDA, what they do as agents of USDA center. They also partner with organizations like ours. If you came to our organization and said, okay, I'm dealing with a process regarding deed or what's occurring in the property, I'm dealing with an abstract. Okay, and give an abstract off, let's update that and see exactly, you know, what's occurred on this property, in the liens, and they possibly against things that they can, in fact, you have time ownership, doesn't go down to the top of the town. So that's the abstract process. The other thing on abstract, USDA, it was passed that they would provide loan services for air property. Loan service for air property. That process involved where they partnered with what they call CDFIs, Community Development Finance Institutions. One of them that's in you all's area that is a CDFI is Southern Bancorp. You know, well, I don't know if they're in this area here, this county, but Southern Bancorp is CDFI. They are, and they are also a certified lender, preferred lender with USDA, if you're dealing with a guarantee loan. But the CDFIs can make loans. There's a list of CDFIs who are doing the relending program on their property. I don't know if y'all have that in your office. They do have that in their office. So FSA has a listing of the community development finance institutions, those banking institutions that provide loans to individuals to address air property issues. If you want to buy the other air in the south, that's what the market value is. Then that was the intention of that legislation being passed to address some of the challenges that's involved in dealing with air property, particularly in the African American community. Let's be real about it. That's a real barrier, and that's a real issue in African American communities. I know where I live, both on farmland, on housing lots and things of that nature. And we've been advocating about that as being an issue for the past 10 or 15 years, maybe longer than that, maybe more like 20 years. And that has been passed, what it did pass, as a part of the special legislation, the American Rescue Plan, and it has been implemented already. Within the American Rescue Plan, it has been implemented. They have those lists of CDFIs that will make those loans to address the air property issue. We also have some information on air property. We have a booklet back there on air property. Now, let me just say this. It is in reference to Arkansas law itself. I don't know if you all have passed the Unified Air Property Act here in Mississippi. I don't remember seeing it sitting on the list. Well, normally Arkansas, the head of Mississippi anyway. But I think.
I'm gonna go with you then.
But air property, we passed the Unified Air Property Act in Arkansas. And basically what that means, not like the old law, if you petition the courts, then the courts normally make a determination that that property has to be sold because property cannot be divided equally and equally. So maybe some in wood, some on tree and things of that nature, some divided equally and equally. If that law still exists, then it's for sold. That challenge itself, can be addressed with the relending program by FSA. But USDA has a smorgasbord of all these resources. I mean, they have all kinds of resources, folks. Knowing what the resources are and how to access them. And again, as FSA representative said, it's not just FSA, it's far beyond FSA. We engage in cities, other nonprofit organizations, churches. We want to partner in this community as a part of service delivery, both by USDA and there are other agencies. With the mayor gave reference to building a subdivision. We had some conversation about that, and that's what we have done that. We have built entire communities up to 70 houses in one location, on a piece of property. We've got that done in about 6 to 7 areas, now, what's called syndication development, using tax credit, home dollars. In Arkansas, it's Arkansas Development Finance Authority. In Mississippi, it may be Memphis Mississippi Development Finance Authority. But and those are dollars, empowerment dollars that come to the state as empowerment dollars through HUD, that goes to the state as empowerment dollars that is used for first-time home buyers. It also uses in leveraging dealing with both state and federal tax credit dollars. If you're dealing with multifamily affordable housing for a community, we've done that. There are others, I know in this area, the partners that you do it, there are certain things that look for, I'm gonna be straight up about it. Looking at both the capital needs assessment in the process, also the area of support services. If you're building such a community, out migration, the past 5 years of in migration, so a lot of things. That may not be the thing for you, or these may be what you need to look at more and be able to intensify what the census is showing based on the out-migration factor. If the young folks are leaving, the more elderly population is here, then you need to look at the elderly population and the income category from a census perspective and projecting your potential market for servicing with the 502 program on renovation. And of course, depending on conditional housing, but that's sort of where we are. And I think they may have a grant, a partial grant in full development, probably know too, through that finance authority, through the HUD money, it may be create a type of partnership on the housing redevelopment, both working with the entitlement dollars from HUD, with the state, and with RD, to do, say, we have picked out 60 houses in this area that we know we do renovation on, we address the air property situation, and it will be a process. It's a process that it will require everybody's participation. Both the city and citizen participation, along with RD, state and other agencies. So does that answer your question?
As always. No, Mayor, did you have one more question?
Who can address what we can do with it?
I'm gonna take a hit at it, then I'm gonna pass it on. Well, y'all got all kind of resources here. So you should contact, NRCS. If you got a wetland area, if you got flooding in the area, there may be a result of what's surrounding you in this area, then NRCS, on the wetland program, they do have a wetland program, that you deal with under the conservation program. That may be, that could be flooding situation in the city that could be addressed by NRCS. I'm gonna give an example. In Arkansas, one program that was done in partnership with the state, it's roughly some $93 million, and where those counties are working together, that's come by way of NRCS to deal with flooding in those 3 counties, in those small towns, okay? But, NRCS would be the agency, and on the wetland side, not getting the details, we're gonna go ahead and talk about it.
Yes, sir. We do have a program called WRE, the Wetland Reserve Easement, where, if this land is not feasible, it floods throughout the growing season, then it is be eligible under that program. But, there's nothing really else we can do with that wetland, especially planting, crops or anything like that. Question, yes, sir. You talk about wetland, so okay, this is for instance, I live in Jonestown. And my house is next to a bank. And down through the years, my land has eroded. And that's due to the bow overflowing so often. So I'm constantly putting dirt, trying to keep my yard, trying to keep from up in that, coming up in my, damaging my house. Yes. Will this agency can help the town, maybe put some embankments or put concrete? I've seen other areas they got to really what erosion won't affect, because this bow is so bad. And other people's houses on the other side, it's running up under their house. I don't want it coming in my house, so I'm trying to do things to keep the erosion from happening. But we only address, where you can sign up, if you was an ag producer, if it's an ag land, crop land, anything like that, then we'll be able to help out. But if this is your house site or the town, we have an engineering office in Grenada, and they deal with those special type of programs. That's what that sounds like. Yes, sir.
Have another question? Yes,
I wanted to ask, ask rural development a question. So I heard you mention 2 things. The first part of this question was if it's buying a home, putting it in a rural area such as, so look for an example, just for an example. Very hypothetical. So if I decide to purchase 10 acres of land or 20 acres of land, but I also want to put a house on that land, how would one go about doing that? And then on the other side of that, I heard you mention that you guys help with putting new tanks out. When you say new tank, are you addressing a gas tank or what type of tank?
The tank issue is with municipalities or nonprofits to put a water tank in and a well to provide for the community, whatever community is their certificated area for providing that service to them. Okay. And as far as the land, if you want to purchase land and build a house on it, it's got to be a reasonable amount of acreage that would suit that house. And I'm not sure about the acreage. I don't personally work in single family housing. But I could get that information and find out for you. If and Tunica County is a county that we serve. We have 11 counties that we serve. There's two people in my office and 1 person in the single family housing division. So we are spread pretty thin, but we will be glad to help you.
So when you say you serve 11 counties, are you mean the 11 counties in Northwest Mississippi?
Northwest Mississippi, we go Bolivar, to DeSoto, to Marshall, to
Okay.
Yellow Beach.
Okay, all right, but
Mhm. I got a lot of them today.
Let me, have one, I don't think this question is here, that, but this is an assumption here, it's a hypothetically, I would assume that individual that is, buying 20 acres of land, if they, you're buying because you're farming and you want a farm, and you're gonna get a farm number for it. Okay, so you're gonna buy, you qualify under the RD program, then you need to go, under the FSA program, you need to go to FSA for land purchase. Go to FSA for the land purchase, and you meet the criteria requirements of 3 years or more, schedule up tax upon that you've been farming, or the person been farming. If not, then, you gotta deal with at least 3 years before you will qualify for a land purchase of the 20 acres. That's one. Unless you go through the guarantee program. Now, if you go through the guarantee program, then the bank will make you a loan, and you get FSA, do the 90% guarantee on it. Then you do the 90% guarantee, make your land purchase of the 20 acres. So, and get a farm number if you're gonna run the farming operation. Then you need to get it surveyed off at least an acre, I would say at least an acre, no, that's what required. But we should say a reasonable portion to qualify, a reasonable portion of land that will qualify or justify you for the house on. Then you need to separate off of that 20 acres, that acre, and you will get a different description on that 1 acre. Then apply the rural development to put your house on that 1 acre of land. Now, that's one way to address that. So, but you deal with two different resources, deal with FSA on one side, guarantee loan program, 90% guarantee, come back in with RD, to deal with the house.
Okay, you have a question? My question is also for rural development. I'm really interested in the growth and the loan. I'd like to, let me describe for you what I'm thinking I heard you say. I will have to come over to the base here and do an application in the office as well. I can do an application at City Hall. I'm just trying to learn the process.
Right, you can contact us and we can mail you an application, or, we can email it to you. And you can bring it back Wednesday as our application day. We've discussed recently about having classes, at 10 and 2 on Wednesdays to help everyone fill out their application. They can all come in and we can tell them what goes in each blank and things like that. Or do a pre-qualification, first off, but, you don't necessarily have to come to our office to fill it out. You can fill it out, mail it back to us, or bring it back to us on Wednesdays. That would be up to you. There is an application process that you can go to. I think it's under, I'd have to find out. I'm not sure. Yeah, with the online aspect of it, yes. Yeah,
Ma'am, let me just say this, on that application process, and Mayor, I know the mayor's gonna follow this on this also, we're gonna follow back with the city. We have those names and all that, if you don't have access to the computer, or if you can get the information, just print it off, so you can do the pre-application. If not, I'm sure the mayor's office will work, I have someone in the office that can work with you, with USDA, to access the application, print it out to make sure that we get the application in. But we need to simplify it, we need to localize it, to actually get that in. So that's the intent.
Okay, we're gonna round out our questions. We still have, do we have any online? Okay, I was gonna do that too. So, before we wrap up, are there any more questions before we get to the contact information?
Got two questions. We'll start with, I don't know who this is. It talks about the new beginning farmer, the historically undeserved farmer, urban farmer, within the research. Can you describe who fits in those categories? Because when you say new beginning farmer, that's in one of the, and I think it's 10 years or below.
10 years or less, so that you haven't had more than 10 years of schedule it. Or you're living in.
Okay. And historically undeserved.
Historically underserved, we're looking at African Americans, we're looking, rural community Hispanics and Native Americans. And, women farmers. Years in there as well. And veterans, it's the year old,
Urban farmer.
an urban farmer. How are we define an urban farmer?
Farmers is farmers by have incorporated it.
Right, but are we gonna do that in the start?
Yeah, there's no occupation required.
That's not required. I do apologize, that's.
That's why I was asking.
I know it is, but.
I've seen that, like, it's in the city, and I didn't know if that was offered either.
Correct.
And then the last one, limited resources.
So limited resource is gonna look correct.
Okay.
That's gonna be on the individual basis. That's the form that I gave you in your packet, the 864, look at that and on the back of it as well.
Okay. And then my other question is for rural development. When you guys go about thinking there to address building communities and things like that, we need to reach out to you guys first. We just come up with a business plan rather than go to the mayor of a city or anything like that.
Which program are you getting reference to?
Getting like, you know, how you talked briefly about subdivision. And building a subdivision or something like that, how does that work? If one is looking to build a subdivision, go to the city first.
If you're talking about, here's what our process was. You know, when we're talking about building a subdivision or a multi-family housing, we built 70 houses, rental, affordable housing. We went to the city first. It was something that the mayor, we supported letters from the city. The city takes it to the city council. You have to make sure that the property is zoned where what would be the area that is zoned for residential purposes as well. Towns of certain size, and you have to go to their, to the other commission, planning commission, to make sure it's something that's in the city's plan. But you go to just start to the point, you go to the city first. It's an integral city, and again, a lot more work going into it. I'm not going to even say it. That is serious work. You got to get a plat done. You got to get surveys done. There's a lot of work. You got to put together a team. You got to put together a team of both the engineers. They're very expensive. They got to be on a contingency basis, based on where your resources are going to come from. In other words, if they get funded, they get paid. You know, through that whole process. Your land acquisition costs, got to really capital needs assessment up front, based on, you know, the construction square footage of the property that's going to go in, what that, you know, cost of construction is per square foot, land acquisition costs, you know, the whole shebang. But that's, with that plan, with the city, before you even start dealing with that whole process, but you gotta have a team. It takes a team to do that level of investment, both the investment side and the development side. That's what I've seen, and we've done over 300, you know, units for development is concerned. Using everything from RD financing, rural development financing to the state Department of Finance, empowerment dollars that go to the state for private investment, including state and federal tax credits. But you gotta have a team to do that. So now you just want to go, there is a housing program. Most cases they're normally out of money, at least in Arkansas. A lot of times they just haven't been budgeted for some reason recently. They have what's called the 515 program. Now, the USDA rule about that's for multifamily housing. So if you were going to do a multifamily housing, we've used that for building some apartments on affordable housing. Then you can get that through the 515 program if they have the money, and they would know if that program is active right now with RD. That's not a subdivision, but it is multifamily housing. And sometimes cities with partners, they go in and they put in affordable housing. I know we have using the 515 program on the multifamily housing. The other program that they have, and this is strictly for those who are as a farm operator, and particularly if they're engaged with a lot of horticultural crop or vegetable crops, they have the farm worker housing program. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There is a labor housing program if you have site farmhands that wish to obtain housing. We have that through our agency as well. And there is a housing preservation grant program. That's where the municipality or a nonprofit sets up an entity where you are helping individuals in your community to be able to repair their homes, but that is that's also handled for our state office, but that's called housing preservation grant.
Okay, and we're about to round out our meeting. I think we have taken the last question. I did go around and pass out evaluation. Oh, no, okay, so the question online was the contact information. So I wanted to ask first, if everyone got a chance to receive an evaluation sheet, and if you guys fill it out. Uh-huh.
Information from
For vendors. Okay, so I would like for all presenters, if possible, if you can kind of go down the aisle and give out each and every one of your information. I think that every department and agency is important, so let's get that out.
For both Meredith and for the farm service agency, again, we left a map with all Mississippi Service Center contact information on it for you. For those that are online that can't see that, again, farmers.gov, or you can simply Google USDA Service Center Locator, and it pops up every time. I've done it when I've tried to reach out to other people, and this is all information. So it's that you can pick your state and then your county, and then it gives you your direct office. If you want mine specifically, it's Ashley.Laughlin, that's LOFLIN at USDA.gov. My Tunica office, 662-357-0027. And if you were looking for the farm loan manager's phone number,
Just call the Mullen County office, it's 257-880-45 extension 2, and just ask for the loan department.
So we are in all the service centers also. My email address is john.coleman2@usda.gov, and my office number is 662-326-6002 extension 3.
Rural development, we're located in Batesville and we have the 11 counties, so you can contact our office at 662-578-8045. Will be extension 5.
And also you can pass it to the mayor, just in case you guys don't have her information. Or you can just pull up on her at her office and.
Vivian Ed Burnett, the office number is 662-358-4328. My cell is 662-313-3963. And my email is mayorburnett@gmail.
Okay, I hope everyone has enjoyed our summit today. I just remind you all that we do have paper that we would like to read your information on, and if you're interested in our intake process, There's also a sheet of paper that you can fill out. We will follow back up with you, and that is our way to connect you to these resources if you're not able to get access through here locally or through your state level. We will get in contact with someone for you.
And let me just say, our contact information, it's our land and community development corporation. Our phone number, you can reach us at 870-734-3005. It's on the information that we passed out. But contact us and, we will follow up through the intake, we'll follow up with some housing, farm program, whatever the service needs are. And we'll be in contact with the mayor, let them know what we're gonna be doing, in your center.
And you can also contact us at alfdc.webs.com for that information and access to today's. Thank you all again for coming, and we look forward to seeing you again and speaking with you soon. One more time, please, with those evaluations that I asked out earlier. On the table.
Thank you.